Hey everyone! Today, let's explore the story of how early Muslim armies reached and slowly took control of a faraway land called Transoxiana. This isn't just a story about battles and empires, it's about bravery, patience, clever strategy, and how very different cultures came together and changed each other forever. The journey was long and full of ups and downs, with victories, defeats, and moments of peace and rebuilding. It took generations before this region truly became part of the Islamic world. So first, what was Transoxiana? The word itself means the land beyond the river. The river it refers to is the Oxus, today called the Amu Darya, which flows between modern Afghanistan and Central Asia. Beyond that river stretched a rich and diverse land filled with green valleys, busy trade towns, and snow-capped mountains. To the Arabs coming from the deserts of Arabia, this place seemed almost magical, a world of treasures, cultures, and challenges unlike anything they had ever seen before. Transoxiana wasn't one country or one empire. It was a collection of many small kingdoms, tribes, and city-states. The most famous cities were Samarkand, Bukhara, Khwarezmi, and the Fergana Valley. Each city had its own ruler, soldiers, language, and religion. There were Zoroastrians, Buddhists, Christians, and people who followed local gods and traditions. This made the region colorful and interesting, but also very hard to conquer or unite. The geography made things even tougher. Vast deserts, icy mountains, and unpredictable rivers meant that moving armies or supplies was always dangerous. For the Arabs, it was like stepping into a whole new world. Long before the Muslims arrived, Transoxiana had already seen many empires rise and fall. The Persians, Greeks under Alexander the Great, the Kushans, and even powerful Turkic tribes had ruled here at different times. Because it sat right on the Silk Road, the main trade route between East and West, it became a crossroads of cultures, full of wealth and new ideas. Merchants from China, India, Persia, and Rome all passed through its cities. But the same wealth that made Transoxiana famous also made it hard to control. The people were proud, independent, and ready to fight to defend their freedom. The Arabs first reached Transoxiana around 650 CE, not long after they defeated the mighty Sasanian Empire. But at that time they weren't ready to conquer the whole area. Their early expeditions were mostly quick raids to test defenses or collect taxes. The city of Marv, or Merv, became their first big base. From there, Arab generals launched attacks and made deals with local rulers. Some cities agreed to pay tribute peacefully, while others resisted and were attacked. Because Arab armies often had to return west to fight in other wars, their control over these new lands was weak at first, and often temporary. Things began to change by the end of the 600s when the Umayyad caliphs decided to make their hold on the region permanent. They started sending entire groups of Arab soldiers and their families to settle there, creating new neighborhoods in cities like Mar and Nishapur. These new Arab communities mixed with the locals, bringing their culture, language, and religion. Over time, Persian, Turkic, and Arab traditions started to blend together, though not always peacefully. Different Arab tribes fought among themselves for power, and the local converts to Islam, called Mawali, were often treated as second-class Muslims. This unfairness caused tension that would later lead to big political changes in the caliphate. Then came one of the most important figures in this story, Qutayba ibn Muslim. He became the governor of Khorasan around 705 CE, and changed everything. Qutayba was smart, brave, and incredibly determined. He realized that conquering Transoxiana wasn't just about fighting, it was about winning hearts. He made peace with local leaders, offered fair treatment to those who cooperated, and even hired local soldiers to fight alongside the Arabs. This made his army stronger and helped build trust with some of the local people. Qutayba's campaigns were long and difficult. He captured Balts and Tokaristan, and then pushed into Sogdia, where he conquered the great cities of Bukhara and Samarkand. These were huge victories. Both cities were rich, old, and full of culture. Some cities resisted and suffered harsh punishments, while others surrendered and became allies. Qutayba also worked hard to rebuild trade routes and make the region stable again so merchants could travel safely. Thanks to his leadership, the Umayyad Empire's eastern border reached all the way to China's frontier, something that had never happened before. But even after all his success, the peace didn't last. The people of Transoxiana weren't ready to give up easily. Many local rulers rebelled, and a powerful Turkic confederation called the Turks began attacking from the north. They sometimes joined forces with China's Tang Empire to push the Arabs back. The fighting went on for years, with cities being lost and retaken over and over again. It wasn't just one war, it was a whole series of struggles that tested everyone's strength. In the 720s, things got really bad. The Turks and local rebels nearly drove the Arabs completely out of Central Asia. The Caliphate had to send reinforcements and stronger governors to restore control. Slowly but surely, through years of hard fighting and leadership, the Umayyads won back most of what they had lost. Still, their rule remained shaky. They relied on local leaders who could easily switch sides when it suited them. While all this was happening, Islam itself began to spread, though slowly. At first, it was mostly the religion of Arab soldiers and rulers. Mosques were built, and people were invited to pray, sometimes even paid to attend. But most locals kept their old religions for a long time. Persian stayed the main language for business and government, and Sogdian traders continued to dominate trade along the Silk Road. Change came bit by bit. When the Abbasid dynasty replaced the Umayyads in 750 CE, they changed how things worked. The Abbasids treated all Muslims, whether Arab or non-Arab, as equals. This helped more people in Transoxiana feel connected to Islam. Slowly, the region's culture transformed. Arabic, Persian, and Turkic traditions blended to form something new and powerful, the roots of what would later become great Islamic civilizations in Central Asia. One key moment in this transformation was the Battle of Talas in 751 CE, when the Arab and Chinese armies faced off. Even though it's often described as a big East versus West clash, the truth is it was part of a much larger struggle for control in Central Asia. The battle's results were important. The Tang dynasty's power in the region faded, and Muslim influence grew stronger. Some historians even say that this battle helped spread papermaking technology from China to the Islamic world, which would later change history. By the time of the Abbasids, Transoxiana had become one of the most important provinces in the Islamic Empire. It was full of trade, art, science, and culture. Cities like Samarkand and Bukhara became famous centers of learning, where scholars, poets, and scientists studied everything from astronomy to medicine. These cities would go on to shine for centuries, producing thinkers like Avicenna and al-Biruni, whose work still matters today.